From 1989 until October 1990, I was a Commonwealth Scholar at the University of Peradeniya in Sri Lanka, an island nation off the southeast coast of India. Today, that period is known as the Second JVP Insurrection, an armed revolt targeting the government but using subversion, intimidation, and ultimately murders and assassinations not only of politicians and their armed forces, but of ordinary civilians. But I, and the friends I made during this time, could not be aware of the full scope of the insurrection as it unfolded, seemingly in slow motion. Like a frog put in a pot of lukewarm water set to a slow boil, I did not always perceive clearly the reality that surrounded me as I wrote upbeat letters home about my travels and my studies, and as I poured out my frustrations over barriers of language and bureaucracy in my journals. The hundreds of pages of my thoughts and doings are the subject of this series of vignettes. They trace my meandering path, not to the master's degree I thought I was pursuing, but to a greater humility about the passions and pride, the courage and convictions of a people that persevere in one of the most beautiful and troubled countries in creation. Here is a story from my sojourn in Sri Lanka. Journal entry, Arunachalam Hall, April 28, 1987. A number of adventures to relate. The whole residence hall is resounding with final year student revelers who have found out their final marks. I just heard a bottle smash somewhere. Whew. Herat, Vikrama, and Tusita just showed up at my door in various stages of inebriation. I think I want to make a good friend of Herat. Of the three of them, he was the most sensitive to my declining to imbibe, though my congratulations for his upper-class grades were hearty. Yesterday I went with Vijaya, my Sorbonne-educated friend, to the Institute for Fundamental Studies in downtown Kandy. What a downpour on the way there. I was soaked through just running 10 yards to catch the bus. Riding into Mahanura was like watching a disaster movie. Water came crashing around the utility poles and surging menacingly along culverts, exploding out of sewers. Truly, the road turned into a river. Thank God for CTV buses, really. Our bus just kept on plowing through the flood until at last we reached higher ground. The Institute is gorgeous, formerly a hotel. Balconies with magnificent panoramas of Kandy town below. On the way back from the Institute of Fundamental Studies, we were stopped by the Army. A pretty thorough search ensued. They checked my camera bag and seemed intent on finding some secret compartment. They manipulated it so much. Today started out épouvantable. I made what has become a daily pilgrimage to the political science department. I was told not only that Professor Jayasinghe, the head of the department, was going to be absent until May, but that it was out of the question for me to sit in on a few lectures without his authorization. You should have read the notepad I took with me. Was the word uppermost in my mind. So I trudged over to the Senate building. only to be required to hand over my bag for examination after being asked whether I needed it to enter. Then I was asked to produce my student identification. Of course, I had left it in my room. I was allowed in, mercifully, only to find that Mrs. Nandasena, the senior assistant registrar, was absent. I trudged back to the residence hall with figurative thunderclouds over my eyes. Then, in the corridor, a fellow stops to ask if I am Raymond. Great, I thought, another curiosity seeker. I am Azhar's brother. Whoa! Azhar Habib Mohammed was my counterpart during the Canada World Youth Exchange in 1984-85. We spent 7 months together in Burford, Ontario, and in Wellarava, Bingiria. Talk about a change of mood. I met up with Srini, who, displaying unusual confidence before her friends, invited me to play badminton at the gym. I duly showed up. Only to discover she is vice captain of Sri Lanka's national team. So deceiving to look at her, waiting for me to serve, arm seemingly awkwardly extended, her leg poised lazily behind her. But then, as Daffy Duck says, she rammed that birdie right down my throat many a time. Thorough embarrassment, thorough sweat, thorough enjoyment, and the day improved from there. I got permission from the Dean of Arts to attend some lectures. I met Miyuki, Devi, and Klebo, members of a rare English-only group. Their education is granted in English because that is the language spoken at home, well, except for Miyuki, who is Japanese. We had terrific conversations in the student canteen about the political situation. Devi reaffirmed my impression, which had been refuted by Vanigasekara Mahatmya, that the Mahaweli irrigation project is being used as a political tool. Some insights while watching Rupavahini, the official broadcaster on television. Soviet film footage? Never in a Western country would I be treated to so much photo opportunity material from the USSR. At first it seemed superfluous, till I realized the US does the same when foreign leaders visit Washington. The local reporting is horrible. So much useless film footage. Shots of a barren road, while an off-screen voice talks vaguely of some irrigation tank. There is an incredible fascination with what other countries are saying about events here. Only the opinions of those countries that decry the Tamil separatist movement are aired. Incredible gall to watch newspaper editorials printed in other countries being read on TV. Oh, maybe not galling. I mean, what is wrong with combining media sources? But it smacks of opportunism and self-justification. For example, quote, an editorial published in the German newspaper commended the Sri Lankan government, unquote. Latest rumor. University lectures are to be boycotted yet again tomorrow to protest the police arrest of a Janata Vimukti Peramunad medical student from the campus. This activism is great, but it seems to lack effect. It would be astounding on a Canadian campus, but so would the political arrest of a student on campus, I guess. Still, there seems to be a more highly developed sense of solidarity among students here. 2021 postscript, in retrospect. That last view of an idealistic group of educated youth all united under one banner of social justice, that was soon to change in the following weeks and months and years of my Lankan sojourn.